On the heels of a deal that will see Russia deploy nuclear weapons to Belarus, President Alexander Lukashenko says he is willing to send nukes to any country willing to side with Russia in its ongoing invasion of Ukraine. During an interview with Russian state TV on Sunday, Lukashenko, who is among Putin's closest allies, said any state that joins the union state between the two countries will be offered nuclear weapons if they want them, but stressed that the offer was his own view and not necessarily shared by Moscow. NewsNation senior national security analyst, retired Air Force Lieutenant General Richard Newton joins us now. Lieutenant General Newton, Moscow and Minsk recently cut a deal that will see Russia deploy tactical nuclear weapons to Belarus for the first time since the fall of the Soviet Union. So what do you make of this offer, and what kind of impact could it have on the war in Ukraine, do you think?
Well, good morning, Kelly. In my collective memory, I've never don't recall a time when a nuclear state actually transferred nuclear weapons to out in the field. In this case, the field would be Belarus. You take them out of garrison and you put them in another location and disperse them. We don't know yet if that's actually occurred. We don't know what type of weapons it would be. We don't even know, what really the timeline of that is. We do know that Putin has deployed or has sent Iskander missiles to Belarus that could be used as certainly, the vehicles to launch weapons. I don't anticipate that. This is, Lukashenko is what they call the Europeans' last dictator. And Belarus as a nation is on an index of democracies. It's got the lowest democracy rating in Europe. But he is a very close ally of Putin. And in fact, an ally is maybe not strong enough a term. He's a puppet of Putin. And so I'm sure both Putin and Lukashenko are just trying to do some saber rattling here, rather brazen. But nonetheless, I don't think it's going to necessarily raise or lower a threshold in terms of using nuclear weapons. But it's just another out of, Putin's, game plan to just try to provide some concern and something else for the Ukrainian military and perhaps even the U.S.-led allies to contemplate.
Certainly, and we're wondering if the heat's being turned up on both sides here because, as you know, over the weekend, Ukraine's top military commander hinted that the country is planning to launch a major counteroffensive against Russia soon. Do you think that could turn the tide of the war?
Well, these missiles, I don't think, or even these nuclear warheads being transferred just reportedly to Belarus will do that. But I do think we're going to be in store for that counteroffensive here soon. It's still going to be a long war, Kelly. And I think even after the conclusion of certainly the strikes on the battlefield and so forth, it's going to be a hard peace. There are a lot of elements here, but what's been entered into this discussion now is this transfer of nuclear weapons, which, again, in my memory, hasn't occurred before. So we just have to, be prepared for things like this to kind of now, make its way into not only the battlefield, and I'm not suggesting that they're going to use these tactical nuclear weapons, but certainly the diplomatic and trying to, win the information war as well. So more to follow on this. But so far, my sources tell me there's been no movement of the actual warheads themselves, but the Iskander missiles appear to be in place in Belarus.
We have about 30 seconds left, but is Putin in the hot seat right now, and how critical are the weeks ahead?
Very critical, and Putin is in a hot seat. Over the weekend, or just yesterday, there's reports of drone strikes into Moscow. Ukraine isn't saying anything. Washington, D.C. isn't saying anything. But Putin, I'm sure, in the hot seat with his own domestic audiences, says this is a special military operation that really hasn't been, coming close to home in Moscow. But you've got these 8 drone strikes. But nonetheless, I believe he is, not only for his audience in the domestic audience in Moscow, but for those who are supporting him, as well as other allies in China and Iran and so forth. So this is a very difficult time for Putin. But again, as the offensive kicks off, we'll still need to just stand by to see how effective Ukraine is. And then the real drive here, though, Kelly, is to get both parties to the negotiating table. That's really the drive here, is to shape that negotiations to make for a good outcome for Ukraine.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.